And hey everybody, I'm back. Thanks for sticking around. We are going to get right into working a little bit on Anthony's Issyra miniature from Retribution. I was hoping to also work a little bit on Imperatus tonight, but I don't think that's going to happen. But we will finish up Issyra. So those of you who are just joining us, this is the mini that we were working on last time we were on air with her, or with Anthony. Let me clean the focus up here. And as someone aptly put it last time, she looks like a Sith Lord, and I guess she does a little bit. So I got the head mounted and cleaned up a couple spots where the paint had chipped a little bit. But really, the last thing that we're working on here with her is just finishing up these gems right here, and then the shoulder pads, that detailing in the shoulder pads, and then adding some detailing and some shading back here, and this little hairpiece here. So and then a little bit of a glow effect. So other than that, she's about ready to go and kick some butt. So first thing I want to start with is adding a little bit of an OSL effect, object source lighting, around her eyes. I like to have Warcasters look like their eyes are glowing. So to start with, we're going to work with a little bit of frostbite paint here for that. And what you're going to do, Anthony, is get some of that frostbite onto your wet palette and then thin it down quite a bit. So take about a brush load, set it off to the side, and then get about a brush load of water, or two of water. And when you're done, you should have a fairly thinned out frostbite. And then you don't want to get crazy here, but what you're going to do is you're going to pull this frostbite across the top of her cheek, right under the eye, and then just kind of fill the eye well with it, and then the same on the other eye. And then make sure you don't have too much pulling going on in there. So make sure to wick off any extra moisture. And we're going to do just a second layer here, just as soon as that one dries. Just give it a second to dry. Depending on where you're at, you might need longer than a second, but here in Idaho, it's just so incredibly dry that usually we can do this pretty quick. And that'll be good there. And then the next step, we're going to take some turquoise ink, P3 turquoise ink. Put a drop of that on your wet palette. And thin that out a little bit. You don't want to use a fully concentrated turquoise ink, so make sure and add a little bit of water to it. Okay, see how thin that is. Also make sure quite a bit of the moisture is out of the brush at this point, because you don't want to, again, have a lot of excess pooling going on here. And then what you're going to do is drop this this ink now, this turquoise ink, into her eye wells. You can see the effect that creates. Okay. And the final step will be taking some Moro white. So that's just pure white at this point. And you're just going to put a small dot in the center of each eye with the Moro white. To help sell the effect. There you go. I need to clean up that eye on the left. That looks a little funny. Give me just a second here to do that. We're going to go back to the frostbite color now. And come up under it a little bit. Grab some of the ink. And grab a little more white. Work this other pupil just a little more. Okay, there's some glowing eyes for you, man. Now, as far as the gems go, we're going to base coat those, and we're going to start with frostbite on those. So, get yourself a solid amount of frostbite on your brush. Okay, get a solid coat there. My chat window keeps saying that I'm connecting and disconnecting to Twitch, but yet OBS is telling me that I'm connected to Twitch. Could someone just pop into chat real fast and let me know what you're seeing? Because I'm curious what's going on here. Or at least just tell me real quick on chat if everything's coming through correctly or clearly. Okay, thanks guys. Glad that everything's okay. Anthony, are you in chat today? Grammar Cowboy, yep, you are. Okay, so good. You got any questions, Anthony? Make sure and ask them. So I'm going to show you, Anthony, kind of the quick and dirty way to do these gems. If you wanted to shade them out on all these retribution models, I think it would take you quite a while. So I'm going to show you kind of the quick way to do it, and make sure you're good with that. Let me finish base coating all these ones though all over her armor. One thing, I guess, just to talk about for a minute with Retribution and the gems is, you don't have to paint them all. She has gems, at least they look like gems, kind of right there on the inside of her waist and around her waist. I'm honestly probably not going to do that. One, because it's going to take a lot of time, and we want to talk about things you can do to get through your army quickly. And two, I don't want to detract too much from all this cool contrast that we've got going on here between the black and the orange. When you start introducing too many other colors into this scheme, it's going to start taking away from the impact of the gray and the orange together. And right now, looking at the gray and the orange with these lighter blue gems that are kind of floating around, I think you've got some good contrast. You've got some good balance. I don't think we don't need to disturb that. I think it's we've got a good even ground there. Yeah, the minimalism of it. Yeah, there you go. All right, so now the trick is going to be getting the frostbite into these super tiny little cracks without screwing everything up. And there's no shortcut for this, Anthony. It's just going to take a steady hand and thinned paint. So make sure you've got a brush with a good tip on it, and make sure you're breathing while you're doing this. Don't hold your breath, just focus on your breathing. And don't be afraid to screw up. If you make a mistake, that's okay. You know the recipe for the base color for the armor. You just go back and clean it up. That's all you got to do. And while you're applying these, don't talk. So you can see how that's going to tie in there, and how that's going to look. It's going to look pretty good. Imperatus will be a little easier to do too, Anthony, because he's got larger grooves going on with his shoulders. I don't even know anything like fluff-wise about Retribution. What are these? I mean, do these things have any kind of symbolism or purpose in Ret from the fluff, or is it just a design issue? My guess is it's probably just a design issue, or a design trait. and then these shoulders, these grooves on the back are going to be a little challenging too. See what we can do to get to those. Change my position here, my hand position. Okay. Alright, so that's coming along. Got a very Tron look going there. Here. We got 20 people watching tonight. I think I haven't had 20 people on since my very first broadcast. This is awesome. Thanks for being here, everyone. Okay, and then on the arms here, I think I'm only going to focus on doing these large ones here. Again, I don't want to detract from the overall theme that we're rocking here. Okay, now here comes the easy part, or at least the somewhat easy part as far as making the glow effect happen. So go back to your turquoise ink, again thin it out just a little bit, okay, and then just simply paint around each gem, leaving roughly the center of the gem still the pure frostbite color. And you can see that the effect that produces. And then as far as these grooves in here, just run your brush through them. Around this orange here, be careful. You don't want to get any of the turquoise on that orange. Right, and you can see how that's starting to look. And if you go back to some of the first conversations that we had, Anthony, where I talked about the glow effect and the blue kind of following that whole blue theme, you know, to contrast with the orange, you can really start to see that take effect now with this turquoise ink being introduced into the color scheme. It complements the orange very nicely, goes with the brown leathers very nicely. It just, everything is starting to tie together now at this point. So if you didn't like it before, and you don't like it now, then there's something wrong with you. Glad you like it though. Saw your post in chat. And this is, you know, we want to be real sparing with this blue glow because we don't want it to overpower. We just want it to look really nice and complementary at this point. And then the last thing you can do here is take some of the Morrow white, make sure it's thinned down a little bit. And then, excuse me, we're just going to go back to each gem, kind of right in the center, and just add a little bit of this washed out white to the center of the larger gems. And that'll help sell the glow effect a little more. There you go. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do here on her is add just a little bit of metallics in. We're gonna do a fairly bright metallic because I don't want to go very dark on this. I want to keep the contrast going here. So we're going to go and jump straight to P3 Quicksilver. And we're only going to add the metallics in just a couple of little tiny spots. We don't want to overpower anything here. And the only place that I'm wanting to add the metallics on her are on the tips of this pack, you know, her armor backpack wing thing there, and then the hairband right there, if that's what that is. Not sure. You see how that silver is going to look? That's going to tie in really nice. It's not going to be overpowering. Okay, there's that initial base coat. Anthony's asking, what's the equivalent of Quicksilver in the Vallejo game color range? I don't know off the top of my head. Let me look into that for you, Anthony, and and I can get back to you. I wouldn't say it's going to be plain silver, because this is a fairly bright silver. This is a good highlight color for like pig iron and even cold steel to a degree. So so yeah, I don't know. I'll look it up for you, and I'll get back to you on that one offline. Okay. All right. Now while that's drying, because I do want to do just a little more to that, but while that's drying, we've got some spots here on the back, right around in here, and then at the base of this pack here, that aren't really shaded or highlighted, and I want to show you kind of a quick way of shading this gray color. This will be really helpful with your troops when you're doing a lot of troops. You won't have to do quite as much brush work as we've been doing on her so far. And that's going to be P3 Secret Weapon Wash Soft Body Black. It's not super strong. It gives just enough of a wash effect to highlight dark grays fairly nicely. And I'm just having a hard time getting my bottle opened here. Yes, order your paints and your supplies from Jay at Discount Games Incorporated. He will appreciate the business. And tell him that you heard about it here on these PaintCast videos. I don't know if it'll give you an extra discount. Highly doubt it. But at least he'll know that stuff's being kicked his way. So yeah, so take your soft body black and just run it over these parts. Kind of stick to these recessed areas with it. Steer clear of the hair, or when you're doing this on other models on your own, steer clear of areas that you've already painted that you don't want to have coated in a wash. This will be a good way to kind of just quickly wash into some of these detailed parts between some of these cracks and plates of armor. The hands will be a good place to wash this in. That'll fill that detail nicely. Washes are great when they're used correctly. I think it's really easy to go overboard with a wash, and so you just want to make sure and use them sparingly. Okay.
Daddy, I used a colorful family well.
You guys go do it. I'll be there. I can't come up right now. Okay. Sorry, I had a little interruption from my son there. So yeah, so apply those washes sparingly. You can see all the way around there where we've gone with it. And let me think here. There was, oh yeah, I remember. Here's the coal black. Okay. We want to highlight the blue leggings that she's wearing. We based those originally in coal black, and I just want to add a little bit of a highlight to them. Not a big one, just a little one, and that's just, you know, right under right here. So take the coal black and just mix a touch of frostbite with it. It's going to give you just a slightly lighter version of coal black. You can see there, okay, and make sure it's thinned down a little bit. And just add in a couple of those highlights. And then what you can do is then take the soft body black and just pull it into those shadows there. Okay. All right, and then the last thing to do here, oh, we got to get this hair piece here.
What did he say?
Okay. And just watch yourself around some of these edges here. You don't want to undo what you've already done as far as having to repaint areas over again. Okay, I'll let that dry for a second before we put a wash on it. And the last thing that sorry guys, I'm seeing the lag, the delay. You guys missed all of that because it was off camera. Apologies. The last thing I want to do on these spires here is I want to take some of this turquoise ink now and instead of shading it with like a wash type material, we're going to just shade it with this turquoise ink. By a wash, I mean, you know, like an armor wash or a sepia wash or something like that. We're just going to glaze a little bit of turquoise onto that metal. We'll do the same thing on Imperatus's swords too, and that's just going to tie this metal, these metal bits into the scheme just a little bit more. Just real soft, subtle hint of the color there. And there you go, as far as those metals go. Looks pretty good. And then the last thing we'll do is take some of this soft body black and just wash this hairpiece a little bit. Give that a little bit of a shade and a texture. Okay. So there you go, Anthony. That's Issyra. She is all done. Get this kind of squared up against the camera there, and then just kind of a slow rotation. And so I'll get her on a base, and you had said you weren't interested in seeing that part, so I'll just be using kind of gravel, grass, flocking, and I'll make sure and get you a list of those materials used on that. Also, there's some spots here, a little bit around the cloak and stuff where some paint has rubbed off, so I'll make sure and that'll all be touched up, and she'll be ready to go. And then with the next PaintCast that I do, I'll make sure, and Paradis will be one of the first ones that we'll start with, and hopefully we'll have him done in about 2 or 3 sessions, and then I can have these guys back to you and have you on your way. So I hope you're liking how this is looking, and that it's heading the direction that you want it to. So if you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Shoot me an email, and definitely can review it with you and answer any questions that you may have. For the rest of you guys, I'm going to go ahead and log off for the night because I want to get back to working on my lock and load entry. There will be no PaintCast next week just because I will be in Seattle at lock and load. However, I am going to be taking my camera equipment with me, and I'm planning on doing some recording while I'm there that I'll be able to post once I get back. Just hanging out with people there, painting, that kind of thing. So if you have any questions though, and are interested in having your own PaintCast tutorial done, please contact me at redmodeling@gmail.com, or you can hit me up at Facebook at facebook.com/redmodelingpaint. Otherwise, guys, have a good night, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Take care.